Will you join us as we embark upon making ourselves better from the inside out? We have a lineup of dynamic speakers. We have topics that are uncharted and never discussed before that we will share. Our only desire for the day is that you become better.
You can stifle a victory with the anticipation of failure.
Wow.
And that day,
Welcome to the Lady Nakia Wright Show. Woo! Okay, little studio participation tonight. Look, welcome to the Lady Nakia Wright Show. I am standing in for her tonight. My name is Charminique Bynum. Welcome. Look, I feel a little naked. Normally we have our little bell out here. Nakia got her tambourine. I just got this. So, but look, stick with us tonight. We have a great show planned for you. I'm gonna, talk a little bit about the art of serving. We started a conversation a few weeks ago, and we're just going to continue on. And then after I get done with my spiel, we'll have the one and only, the great Micha Woods. She will present tonight and talk about marriage and the importance of having married friends. Now, I can't speak on that topic because I'm married. Yet, as Lady Nakia would say, yet. But Lady Micha Woods is going to talk about the importance of marriage, the importance of friends that are married, and then she'll have a special guest with her, Miss Alicia Pinkett, like Jada Pinkett. She says she was her cousin, but not really. So, we have a great show in store for you tonight. If you stick with us, I promise you there will be answers that are just for you tonight. So, look, let's get started. Oh, wait, before I do, as always, to our fabulous host, founder, Lady Nakia Wright, thank you so much for entrusting me with your show. I am honored that you would think that I could handle such a thing. Your belief and your trust in me speaks louder than any words. So for that, I just say thank you. And wherever you are tonight, I pray that the Lord would bless you, that he would keep you, that he would cause his face to shine upon you all the days of your life. So here we go. Let's dive right on in. So last time we talked a little bit about I believe it was being an armor bearer, what it means. We talked a little bit about Jonathan and his armor bearer, and about how when Jonathan went and slayed his giants, his armor bearer was right there doing the same thing. And so today we'll just talk a little bit about two things. One, the first being the ability to evolve. You cannot be a great servant, a great leader without evolving. And so I looked it up just to make sure that I knew what the word meant. But so it just said basically to gradually change, to go from a simple form to a complex form. And so what does that have to do with serving? Well, when you're serving, you have to have the ability to change and add to the quality of your life to make your leader's life better. We were somewhere a few weeks ago, and the guy at the church was trying to get something done. He was trying to get the camera up. He was trying to get the live feed going, and he could not. And I thought to myself in that moment, dang. And Deezy, this is for you. I thought just in this moment, I wish I had been paying attention every time Deezy was going through how to pull up the Facebook Live video and mirror it. I was like, because if I had been paying attention, perhaps I could have been able to help out this young man and get the live feed going. But I couldn't because I wasn't paying attention. So from that moment, it kind of made me feel like, shoot, I haven't I haven't picked up something to where I could be like what Paul says, become all things to all people so that I might win some. And in this case, I needed to evolve and change and become something that I wasn't equipped to become. Serving is a lot of that. Serving means, okay, my leader needs an engineer. Well, I'm not going to be able to run a whole show for you, but I can know some of the basics. Laura is great at that. Laura is a jack of all trades. I am not. Laura will, if you say that your car needs the transmission changed, Laura's going to go on YouTube. She's going to figure out how to get that transmission changed. And if she can't get it changed, she's going to find something on YouTube that's going to tell you what you can do to get it at least running to the point where it's going to get to the mechanic. I promise you. I have not mastered that yet, but that is a part of serving. It is becoming, forever becoming something else. Now, you are not to lose yourself in that moment. We're not talking about losing yourself. We're talking about adding to who you are so that you can be the best version of yourself possible. I remember this was years ago when I first started. I've been doing this now for about 14, 15 years. And I couldn't get something done. And I was too afraid to ask because I felt like I should have known what to do. And so in serving, you have to know how to communicate. You have to know how the only way you're going to become is if you ask questions, because I can't know what it is that you need and what you want if I don't speak up. Don't be afraid to speak up. There's a myth going around that, especially in the church world, there's a myth going around that in order for me to serve you, I have to be a yes man. I have to just kind of put down everything that I know to get the job done, and that's not truth. That's not truth. So I have to know what it is that you're after, what your leader is after, so then that way you can do what's needed in the call. There's no way that you can fulfill the call of God as it relates to serving without evolving and communicating. You have to be an effective communicator. You don't just look. Anytime I'm not saying that you should be combative, aggressive. I'm not saying, if your leader says, oh, can you do X, Y, or Z, then you just, oh, yes, boss. Yeah, look, we're not talking about that. We're talking about being so confident in who you are that everything about you is committed to that yes. Everything about you is committed to, hey, look, I don't know if that's the right direction. Let's pray about it. Let's think about it. You have to be committed to the call in your life, and then that way you can serve more effectively. Yeah, I got plenty of stories. Y'all know me. Look, we've been through this a few times already, and I got tons and tons and tons and tons of stories. But today I really, really just want to leave a few nuggets with you that if you're watching, if you just became an assistant, an armor bearer, adjutant, whatever it is you want to call it, or if you've been in it for a while, that you can walk away with something fresh that will change the trajectory of where you're headed. Because sometimes we get so caught up in serving that we also forget to fulfill the other part of destiny, the other part of purpose, which is to do what God said for you. So it's like a twofold call, but you have to know when to move. You have to know when to put aside what you're after for the cause of Christ. You have to, in the sense that so let me put it this way. I started CAA. Everybody know that because Lady Nakia promotes it like crazy. Thank you, Lady Wright. So the CAA, and DZ, if we could get that flyer. The CAA is just, the purpose is to build a community of assistants, armor bearers that that we can build the kingdom. Look, right where you are. Right where you are, you can build the kingdom. And it is the purpose of the CAA to promote leadership, but and also to train those that serve leadership. So, little plug: if you have an assistant or an armor bearer that you think could benefit from a little extra something, a little freshness of life, send me an email. I hold classes. I got one coming up at the beginning of the year, thanks to Lady Wright. And and I will gladly come on site and do a training for you. But back to my point, the CAA was something that I had no desire to do. If I could just be quite honest, I had no desire to do it. However, it was something that I felt like really needed to be done. And then I had to figure out how to do this without letting this, serving my leaders, without letting that slip. And so you have to learn how to move in the call, learn to move in the grace and in the knowledge of all that Christ has given to you. Laura has given me the 5-minute signal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to this next point, because what's not going to be said is Charminique took up all of Lady Wood's time and talking about this, promoting my own stuff. So that's not going to happen tonight. So the second thing that I would just say is follow. How would I want to put this? Because, see, originally I was going to say follow without question. But, and you know what? Yes, follow without question. The Bible is very clear about it. When Elijah went to anoint Elisha, Elisha was like, oh, bet. Like, you want me? Okay, cool. Let me just go say goodbye to my folks, and then I'm going to follow you. He did that. So then in Matthew, New Testament, then Jesus said, Simon, Peter, Andrew, y'all come follow me. And they was like, oh, okay. And it says straightway they left their nets and went and followed him. So you are not to follow blindly, because then Paul comes back, wraps that up, and says, follow me as I follow Christ. As long as I see Christ in you, then I can follow you. It's not saying that you leave your mind at home. It's not saying that you leave, everything that you've learned at home. Not just saying follow blindly, but get to the point in your walk where if your leader calls you to something, you trust the God in them enough that you don't have any reservations or fear or hesitations about where they would lead you. I know that Lady Nakia would never, ever lead me astray, in the sense that if she says, come do the show, she obviously thinks I'm qualified. So guess what? Without question, sure, I got you, Lady Wright. And here we are. So follow. Don't be afraid to evolve and follow. Tonight is very, very, very simple. We are following strong. We are becoming continually. And we are pressing towards the mark. So my time is just about up, but follow strongly. Follow strongly. Evolve continually. And press towards the mark. We're going to take a quick little break, 30 seconds to a minute. And when we come back, it will be Lady Micha Woods and Lady Pinkett, Jada Pinkett's cousin. I'm just playing, y'all. And they are going to take us on home. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Will you join us as we embark upon making ourselves better from the inside out? We have a lineup of dynamic speakers. We have topics that are uncharted and never discussed before that we will share. Our only desire for the day is that you become better.
You can stifle a victory with the anticipation of failure.
Wow.
And that day...
ourselves better from the inside out. We have a lineup of dynamic speakers. We have topics that are uncharted and never discussed before that we will share. Our only desire for the day is that you become better.
You can stifle a victory with the anticipation of failure.
Wow.
And that
Very
day,
Will you join us as we embark upon making ourselves better from the inside out? We have a lineup of dynamic speakers. We have topics that are uncharted and never discussed before that we will share. Our only desire for the day is that you become better.
you can stifle a victory with the anticipation of failure.
Wow.
Hi, and we're back. That was so great earlier, Charmy. Thank you so much for those nuggets. We needed that, especially those of us that are like me that need things drilled into us week after week. But that was awesome. And hey, girl, to Lady Nakia, I know you're watching us. Again, as Charmy said, thank you so much for, just stretching us. Because when I step in this room as your co-host, it's exciting and it's a lot of fun because all I have to do is put on my best lipstick and a bright blazer and show up, and the show's on the road. But when you messaged me and said, hey, I'm going to be out of town and you're going to be on your own, I was panicking and had all sorts of anxiety. Yes, me, who's never shy or afraid of anything. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to lead? But here we are. So we promise that tonight will be entertaining. And if we can reach just one person that takes away something from this message, then our job here was done. And I wanted to say thank you to Alicia for exercising your power of yes. Because when I asked her to be here, and she didn't hesitate. She said, what do you need? I'll be there. And here we are. So I want to jump right into it. Oh. And I'm going to ask you this question for the viewers. Well, I'm going to pretend like it's for the viewers, but it's for me too because my memory is shot. So just share with us, how long have you been married? I was at her wedding, mind you. I was at her wedding, but just share with us, how long have you been married?
2 years.
2 years.
2 short years. I guess I'm still in the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah, because I've been married 20 years.
Well, it feels like 20.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It's still new. It's still new. So I know you've been married for 2 years. So in that, what you consider to be a short, long-term period, do you and Tony, do you and your husband have a regular date night?
No.
No? Because I'm looking on my feed, and I see you popping up. He has you front row, Stevie Wonder, Prince.
Yes.
All of these.
Oh, my gosh, you remember
I
that?
remember these things, and I'm looking going, huh? I'm home with these kids. What's happening? So something's going on. So talk to us about are they spontaneous? Are they surprises? Or
He would say that, and so.
But they don't know.
Okay, so we're kind of opposites. My husband is very quiet.
Okay.
When he wants to be, until he gets to know you. But he would say that I have the art of surprise. So I do a lot of the planning.
The planning? Okay.
Because
gotcha.
I'm the planner. So then in turn, he's like, oh my
He has
goodness.
to go the extra
I got it.
mile
I got to
surprise
get her.
you.
I got to get her.
And see, my husband's just the opposite. We're both event planners by trade. My husband's the opposite. He says, nobody can do anything to impress you or surprise you. So you just tell me, where are we going? How much does it cost?
Yes.
Here you go. And that works for me.
But see,
That works
listen,
for me. But everybody's relationship is different.
No, and I am the total opposite.
You want the surprise?
I want the surprises.
No.
But he feels the way you do. He feels like you are too good at this.
Yeah, I don't want to be
and there's
surprised.
no way that I could possibly
Yeah.
surprise you.
No, that doesn't work for
I
me.
hate that though. And you know that. So what Micha also knows is that he surprised me with an engagement. Micha was the first person to call me and she goes, "Did he really surprise
I thought
you?"
it was fake.
She said, "No, this cannot be real. How in the world did he do that?" Well, he had a couple of accomplices.
Yeah.
So that's how he was able to achieve it. But he goes, "Harpo did good."
Yeah.
Because he
So
actually managed to surprise
that story
me.
actually is a great segue into our topic tonight. Why married people need married friends. That's my saying. I believe that. Now, mind you, I have about 6 or 7 close girlfriends in my circle. About half of them are married. Half of them have been married and are no longer married, and then a few still are. But I think that you find wisdom in that person that can understand your journey. Not that they've necessarily walked in your shoes, but they understand the struggle and the fight and that you're trying to move towards a common goal, which is why I asked you about the date night. Because for us, we have 3 kids. Like you guys are newly married and your kids are adult.
Correct.
My husband and I have kids a span, 24, 16, and 10. So we still have a little one. So it's hard for us to just say tomorrow we're going to see Stevie Wonder.
Yes.
You know, we just can't do that. So a lot of times we'll do things in community with other married couples. So I think that's important because it gives us that common ground because our independent friends are very different. His friends are his friends that he grew up with from the neighborhood. You know, we were both born and raised here in D.C., so all of his friends are still his friends from uptown. You know, so my friends, because I was born here, but I went to private school, all girls school.
Yes.
So I didn't know a lot of guys, which is why probably I married the first one that I was like, okay, I'll take him. If he wants me, I'll take him. It's like, you know.
Wrap him up. I'll take him to
When
go.
I went away to college, that's kind of how it was, you know, because my mother was very strict, and every boy that I liked, she was like, So when I met him, and she wasn't like, she wasn't like, yes, thumbs up, but she wasn't like, I was like, okay, so we'll keep him, you know, so you just sit down, and you stay, and here we are 26 years later. But to my point, I think that it's very important for married people to have married friends because you can sit and laugh about things like
Yes.
that. I'm a big believer in that you don't talk about your relationship to outsiders. And when I say talk about it, I mean like you don't share intimate or personal details, but there may be some general conversations that you need to have. And I think that if you have it with a person that understands that fight, it's kind of a safe space for you to have that. You
I agree. I do agree.
But I also think that in having those married friends or friendships, that it's also very important and healthy for your relationship to make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Yes.
So self-love and self-care, a lot of times people get the words confused. They use them interchangeably, even though they go together. So how do you define self-love?
They do use them interchangeably, but they work hand in hand, to be honest with you. Self-love is how you feel and view yourself.
Okay.
Self-care would be more of the actions that you're going to take to ensure that you're loving yourself, which are very important. And one of the things, just segueing with you, with what you said about having a married couples, do you find it to be different if you, like someone like myself, my children are grown? Would our interaction be different because your kids are smaller? So would you think that you would gravitate more with your friends that have children, that are married, that are closer in age?
I think so, because I think that when you are talking about married friends and growing that community, I'm a big believer on things happening organically.
Yes.
And so if I have a 5-year-old and you have a 5-year-old,
Right.
and both of our husbands are always at work and we're always stuck with the kids might be that common thread that brings us together initially, but then us just vibing off of each other would help the relationship to nurture and grow.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I do think that. So I read this article, and it said that there are 3 types of married friends that that every couple needs or should have. The first one is the way we were couple, which means that they're either engaged or newly married, and they remind you of the way we were. You know, they take you back to that space like, oh, I remember when we used to go to concerts all the time. You know, but that's my husband and I. Like I said, we've been married for 20 years. We've been together since 1991. It's a long time.
Long time.
So that was before there was any, downloading music, whether it was from the streaming site or illegally or however that was. We were popping in cassettes, and he went to Johnson C. Smith in North Carolina, and I went to Eastern Shore. So we were up and down the highway,
Right.
popping in Usher and Babyface
And
and
spending
Shantae Moore,
time.
and he'd take that out and be like, "Nah, put this check in, put this in." Like,
Mika
but
loves
that's
go-go if no one doesn't know
we
that.
vibed off. That was our common ground.
Correct.
So when we did, finish school and get our own money, that was our thing. We went to
Right.
concerts and things like that. So that's why I asked you about the date night, because for us, I guess I would look at you and say, oh, that's the way we were couple.
Right.
So that's interesting. So the second one that the article said is that everybody needs us too couple. And that's the couple that's kind of neck and neck with where you are in your marriage and in your space. And you can look at them and say, oh my gosh, we're not the only ones that got to rob Peter to pay Paul. We're not the only ones that a couple years ago we had to drive from here to Florida because we have 3 kids and 2 of us, there's 5 of us. And, back in the day when plane tickets to Florida were like $200 and something, now you're looking and it's like, what, $600 just to get to Orlando? And there's 5 of us? Somebody can't go. But it's like, my oldest daughter, she is legally an adult.
Right.
But we try to be very sensitive to the fact that, we don't want to leave her if we're taking a family vacation. And I don't want to ask her, can you take your money and pay to go to Disney? Because it's really not for her. So we were like, we're going to have to drive. Well, he had to drive.
Did you do any driving?
No, girl, I did the music like back in the day,
So
the way
are
we
you-
were.
Listen,
the music
I have
the
a
way we
question
were.
though.
Yes.
So are you the wife that never drives if you're going somewhere with your husband?
No, I always drive if we're going in my car because he brakes too hard. And no, but if we're going long distance,
Right, he does the driving.
drives because our marriage is like a team.
Mm-hmm.
And although I like to joke and say that I play for the team that I own, I'm a coach and a player,
Yes.
but it's like a team. So everybody knows what their role is to get the W. And my role is not driving. He says I drive too slow, that I'm going to stay in that right lane in case an emergency happens. I need to get on the shoulder. So no, he doesn't want that. So he drives. I control the music and the kids, and it works.
And that works.
So, and then the third couple that the article said every married couple needs these type of friends. We've been there, done that. And I think that couple is extremely important, especially in the stage that I'm in, because like I said, 20 years, it's very easy for our marriage to get old or not stale, but in routine. Like every day we get up and you take the girl to school, or I take the boy to school. It's a routine. So if you have that we've been there, done that couple, you can kind of feed off of their energy, because that's the couple that has surpassed your journey 2-3 times. Like a parent or a grandparent, or anybody that you can sit down and ask them, well, how was it when you guys hit year 15? Or how'd you make it through the rough patch. Because when people hear you've been married 20 years, they're like, whoa, thinking that you're so madly in love, and they're not understanding that. No, we've been married 20 years, but there's probably about 3 of those years where I'm looking over and going, I could just put this pillow over your head while you're sleeping right now. But that's what marriage is about, understanding that you're going to have those tough times, and you just ride them out.
Right.
Because once you commit it, you're in it for the long haul, and there is no end date on it. The end date for me, the end date on the marriage is going to be the same end date that's on my tombstone. That's how I feel. So we're going to work it out. If you're, there is no, you're not talking to me, you're mad at me, and I, as you can tell, a big communicator.
Yes.
And my husband's very nonverbal. So
Yes. We share that in common.
he's
Nika.
very nonverbal, unless it's something he's very convicted about.
Yes.
But so it works. You have that balance. But that's why it's very important for you to have that been there, done that couple, because they can share things like that and say, hey, I don't necessarily have to tell you the things that my husband and I have been through, but I'll tell you, we've been through some things and we're here. And we made it, so keep pushing, keep going. So that's what we have about that. But as I said, that it's very, very important for your marriage to be strong, that you also have to take care of yourself. And for me, when I share with people and say, well, part of me taking care of my relationship and my marriage is taking care of me, making sure that I do something that makes me happy, no matter how small it is, because I am a very hands-on mother, and my kids are spread apart, so I don't get a lot of downtime. I mean, so much to the point that, as Charmy mentioned earlier about serving, that's kind of how I feel about my family. Not that I am the wife from Coming to America, whatever you like. No, I'm not that girl. But whatever my family needs, I'm going to make it happen, because I know that my husband, as the head of our household, does his part to make it happen. So I have to make sure that I take care of me. And so part of that, for example, I have a standing nail appointment every other Tuesday. I do not care. I do not care if anybody says to me, can you do such and such and such? And I'll tell them, yes, I can, but not on a Tuesday. Because I don't even want you to mistake it with the Tuesday that I can't do it. So it's just little things like that. It may be trivial or seem that it's dismissive to someone else where they're like nails, but that's my time that I get in my car, and I am not taking anybody with me for this 45 minutes. Is my time. I'm reclaiming my time, like Auntie Maxine.
Yes.
So
I love that.
Taking care of yourself, is just basically pouring life back into your marriage and your other relationships, friendships, be it a relationship with a sister, or mom, or dad, whoever it is. In order for me to give, because I am a giver, I have to be full. I have to have something to give.
Yes.
And so if I don't do those acts of self-care, and I do acts of self-care because I possess self-love, but it took me a long time to get to that point. So that's what I wanted to talk to you, because you, a little birdie, told us that you have a workshop coming up this weekend, right?
Sunday, November the 17th. Absolutely. The Magic of Self-Love Workshop.
I believe in magic.
You do?
Yes.
We do.
I'm a unicorn.
You're looking at unicorns in the flesh, everyone.
I do believe in magic. This
do.
is magic. This is my magic hair.
Yes, I absolutely do. I love the thing. The thing about, I love what you said. You let nothing stop you from that standing Tuesday appointment. The thing that people often say is they think it has to be something grand.
Or cost
It
a lot
does
of money.
not. It does not.
Yeah.
It has to be what means something to you, and only you, that's going to fill you up to be able to continue to care for your family, your spouse, a sick parent. Because you, as Micha said, you cannot serve from an empty vessel.
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. So what does self-care look like for you? Because if you're leading this workshop, Why don't you share with us like some of your tips? Because there may be someone out there that's on Lady Nakia's Periscope or her Facebook that may not be in the DC metro area and they can't come on Sunday. So I think that we owe it to them to still share just a few gems or nuggets, how they can take care of their self.
Well, there's so many, again, Micha, self-care looks different for everyone. But something as small as taking a different route to work. How often do you every day go to work or to your mom's house or anywhere and you go the exact same route? How about trying to go a different direction?
I actually do that, believe it or not.
Yes.
Because there's so many different directions to get to my house. I live in Bowie, so I can...
You have a lot of different ways.
so many different ways, but it depends on my mood.
Right.
It depends on my mood. If I'm in a mood where I want to listen to Beyonce or if I'm, listening
But let me ask you, you're doing that so you can have that time.
I'm doing that because that's what makes me happy.
Exactly.
And I like some routes I like to go. If I'm going from my house, up to Chevy Chase, I'm going to cut through Rock Creek Park because I like to look at the trees, especially this time
And that's what
of
I was going to say.
So
you're going to see different things.
That's a good one. So take a
get the pen
fresh
and
new
paper.
route, a new
Yes.
approach to an everyday routine.
That's just one. The other one, what do you do in the morning? When you wake up, what's the first thing that you do?
The first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is get out of bed and I get and make sure that my son is up, my daughter's up, and my husband's already up. He gets up before all of us. Mm-hmm. And then I say, thank you, God, for waking everybody up. And that is like the truth. That is the first thing.
The first thing that you do.
I'm not a grab my phone, let me check Instagram type person, although I used to be. And then my pastor had the church go on a corporate fast, and there was like a list of things that you had to give up. Mm-hmm. And when I saw don't reach for your phone first thing in the morning, I was like, this man always saying stuff, acting like it's just me. He's talking to And so I tried it, and then I got out of the habit of doing that, and I realized that I needed to break that habit because I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm about to be 46 and we're considered the old folks, but I do think that social media can be great because I find lots of great information on it, but I also think that it can contribute to your mental health. Absolutely. And I think that, so for me, of my people that I'm following on social media are people that I have personal connections with, people that I have business connections with, and that is it. I don't follow any celebrities. I don't follow anybody that I'm like, oh, they got all the cars and all the clothes and all the... I mean, if I want to see it, I'll go to their page, but I'm not making it come up in my feed to make me discount or feel any less about anything that I have or what I've been blessed with. You know what I mean? Like sometimes those things are good because they can provide inspiration or help you grind harder. Like, or I didn't know about this.
Right.
Now I need to grind. But for everybody, that's not always the case. So for me, part of my self-care and my self-love and learning to appreciate the moment that I've been given, I just have chose. I don't look down on it or judge it. Just for me. Part of my routine.
And that's what you need, though.
I don't.
One of the reason I asked that question, because it's so very important to have a morning routine. The thing about picking up your phone the first thing in the morning is, let me ask you something. Are you opening your door, inviting all your friends into your life?
No.
So when you do that on social media, you're inviting everybody that you follow, everything that they have going on into your mind.
I was about to say, because I don't even invite people into my life on
we
social
know,
media.
Micha.
You know,
Yes.
I don't post any pictures of, not that I think my kids are all that or anything like that, but it's just like I just
It's a preference, right?
Like I do on a story and then it'll disappear, but I try not to put like permanent images out there because for the same reason that I don't look at other people's stuff and let it absorb me.
Correct.
Because there may be somebody that may be going through a divorce, and that's very tough. So I don't want to post, here I am, just as happy, and we're, flicking it up, and then someone looks at it and goes, my life sucks. I just don't. So I try to be very
Mindful.
conscious
Yes.
about the images that I put in social media, and that when people see my page, they may laugh and they'll go, "Oh, her mouth is smart, it's sassy, but she's inspiring or encouraging," and it kind of lines up properly with the integrity and the morals that if you meet me,
Then you
won't
know.
say, people say, "You're not who you supposed to be," like
Right.
POSC, which you posting, that's not who you are. And I try to make sure that they're aligned as much as it could be in an
And that's-
augmented reality world.
And everybody, that's just one facet of it.
Yeah.
But the reality is, and speaking of my workshop, the reason I decided around this time is because during the holiday season,
People, yeah.
we lose so many people. So it's so important for you to realize that you got to have that self-love, the self-care. I want to save at least one person. And everyone that's attending, I know that they're going to be blessed.
Right.
Someone asked me a question today. Well, where are you with your sales? I said, wait a minute. First and foremost, God gave me this vision,
Right.
not you or anyone else.
Yeah.
Whether it's 5 or 50, they're going to leave there transformed.
And tell them that it doesn't matter because it's evolving and becoming.
Well, now, I should have worn my becoming
growing,
jersey.
yes. You're
you know,
growing. You're growing. But like
and
we said,
that's the biggest thing.
If you reach one person, that's what matters. And I think also, I keep going back to that word community, that you never know who sits in that room and looks to the left and right and say that I'm not alone. I'm not the only person that
Exactly.
feels like this. I'm not the only person that's going through this.
Exactly.
And that's what happens a lot of times, where we see people on the surface, on the exterior, and we size them up, and we come up in our mind with who we think they are. And I would always say, like one of my daughters, when she was a teenager, she would say, people always say that I think this and I think that. And I said, well, did you say that? Well, what did you do? Did you say that? No, I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. They think that. So then you need to have a conversation with that person and ask them, why do they think that? And so I think that's why workshops and seminars and doing things in community are very important. Even when you're talking about something like self-care and self-love, it's still important to have that sense of community, to stay connected.
Correct.
And to stay grounded so that you can have people that you're able to relate to.
Yes.
Because I do believe that is the only way that you can go through things, to grow through them.
Absolutely.
And in order to do that, you kind of have to know yourself and know who you are.
That's
And
the key thing.
I think what we forget is that in that growing process, growth represents change. And so, a lot of us, myself included, are afraid of change.
Yes.
Well, I was, not anymore. But I used to work for ESPN. And as you know, it's a male-dominated industry, and not men of color. So here I am. I'm standing all of 4'11", the only chick in the room, brown girl with kids, and I have to go home to kids, right? So you have to kind of work at a more aggressive pace in order to keep up. And I had a boss that pulled me to the side, and he said, you are probably one of the most dynamic people I've ever worked with, but you need to go read Who Moved Your Cheese. And I'm like, what? Giving him my best angry black girl face. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm always here. I'm missing out on things with my kids. I'm always here. And he said, you have a problem with change. And he chin checked me, but in a professional way.
In a professional way.
But my feelings were hurt. But what it really was is that my ego was hurt.
Correct.
But it was bruised because I didn't really know me. Me, the
Yes.
person that was independent of my professional personality.
Right.
And that was when I was probably early 30s. It wasn't until I was turning 40, 6 years ago, that I had a come to Jesus moment with myself. And I realized that I needed to move forward on a journey of self-love. But before I could get to that point, I had to have self-awareness. And so I spent 40 days, and I called it Journey to 40. And I spent 40 days, and every day I did something to learn about myself and something that I was going to put in motion to change. So thank you so much for joining us. And again, if you want to remind everyone when your workshop is, where it is, and how they can get tickets.
Okay, so the workshop is the Magic of Self-Love workshop this Sunday, November the 17th. It's going to be in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and my website is www.aliciapinkett.com, and it's also on Eventbrite. I hope to see each and every one of you, because without loving yourself, how can you love anybody else? Thank you, Micha.
Well,
thank you, Lady Nakia, Wright.
Well, thank you for being here with us. And again, I do want to thank Lady Nakia. She is my friend. And when she first asked me to join her on this journey, I was like, me? I'm not married to a bishop. You sure you want me? But she reminded me, that God does not call the qualified.
Yes.
He qualified the call. So
Yes.
thank you for calling and texting me and for stretching all of us. And we love you and we miss you. And we'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.
And that day.